Hello, and welcome back to another wonderful interview with Maya TV. I am one of your hostesses, Nina Childs, and I am here with actress and producer Carolyn Carpenter. Welcome to the show, Carolyn.
Thank you, Nina. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. Very excited to talk to you. I just wanted to always start with you letting our viewers know where you're from.
I'm from Chicago originally, born and raised, and moved out to California after I graduated college to pursue a career in film and television.
That's amazing. Where did you go to school?
I went to school at DePaul University, so graduate of the theater school. If there's any theater school alumni out there or fans of the program.
Oh, that's cool. I'm a theater school alumni, and I'm also a theater kid. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Loxa here in California, and then I also went to AMDA in Manhattan. Awesome. But theater kids, we have to be nice. So you grew up in the theater as a child, doing theater work. Were you doing musical theater, straight plays, or a little bit of both?
Mostly straight plays. So yeah, I've been acting since I was very young. Did my first play was actually Shakespeare. It was A Midsummer Night's Dream. I played one of the fairies, and that was how I got my start. A cool story with that. I played one of the fairies. And then when I was young, I said, I want to come back and play the Queen of the Fairies, Titania, when I grow up. And I just did A Midsummer Night's Dream and played Titania in that production this summer in LA. So
oh my goodness,
it's kind of a full circle dream fulfilled.
And
so
don't we love those?
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's crazy. So I mean, so doing the play as a child, which kudos to you. Shakespeare as a child. Shakespeare is very hard material.
It is.
For adults. So to, be doing that as a child, this lets me know that you are actually very phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
But how was it revisiting the show as an adult? Like, was it different? I mean, did you view the show differently?
Oh yeah, I viewed the show very differently. I didn't realize how bawdy it was as a kid. I mean, I was in it and I played Peas Blossom, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm a fairy. I get to be cute and like dance around the stage and say my lines. And we were actually only on stage for a certain amount of time, and then we were in the green room, like far away from the stage. So I never actually got to see the entire play when I was a child. But then rehearsing it this summer, I got to see the whole thing in continuity, and I was like, oh wow, this is definitely some adult fun material.
Yeah, it's a very goofy, gaudy show. Yeah, that's one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. And now, so you do have that theater background, and I feel like most of the film actors that we know and we really respect, people like Denzel, Morgan Freeman, Meryl Streep, they all come from the theater. What has been the biggest difference that you found in theater versus film for you as an actress? As
an actress, it's definitely having to bring everything more intimate, your emotions more intimate, your movements more intimate, acting with just your face instead of your whole body. I think in theater you get a wide range of that, right? If you're in a big proscenium show where you're playing to a crowd of 3,000 people, you have to be very big and play to the person in the back row so they get the same experience as the person in the front row. Then there's also black box theater, which is smaller, more intimate, and I played Anne Frank in a production of The Diary of Anne Frank when I was in college, and that was more intimate. So it was probably about 120 people that it sat maybe, so I got a lot of practice with that of not being so physical and moving so much and using all of my face and all of my body to portray the character. And then when I got to LA and started doing film and television, I actually worked with an acting coach that specifically trains stage actors for film and television because it was such a different medium. So learning how to use just an eyebrow or just your eyes or just your neck up to convey all the emotion that you're feeling. It's very different from film and stage.
It's a very controlled thing.
Yes.
It's a lot harder, actually, to me.
Yes, to me too. A lot of people think stage because of the memorization. No. You still have to memorize.
You still have to memorize no matter which way you go.
Yes.
But film acting is really hard because when you see people on film who are acting so big, it's like you're overacting. You know what I mean? So it's a very nuanced thing.
Absolutely.
So that's really cool. And when did you decide to make that transition from being? I'm sure you still do stage work, like you said. You just did one last year. But when did you decide to make that change and move to LA to pursue film? What made you make that change?
So when I was in college, I was getting ready to graduate, and everybody was asking me the question, are you going to stay in Chicago? And I really wanted to branch out and do something different, see somewhere new, have a new life experience. So I knew I wasn't going to stay there. And then, of course, the next follow-up question is, well, as an actor, are you going to New York or LA?
That's it.
And as much as I love theater and that's my roots and I will always have that connection, I felt that in order to be a very marketable actor in New York, you really also had to be able to do musical theater. And while I can sing and I can dance, I bill myself more as an actor who can carry a tune and move well. Musical theater is not my full background. I've done some musicals, but more straight plays. And I felt like I was just more called to doing film and television as well. I had seen, around the time that I was making that decision, I'd watched Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, which is like a very inspirational movie to me. Might give you an idea of where my head's at, but he's one of my favorite directors. And I remember seeing that movie when I was young and saying, I want to make movies. Like that movie inspired me to make movies.
It's such a stylized film.
Exactly. And you can do so many interesting things with film that are different from the things that you can do with theater. So I really wanted to be able to play in that space, learn it, immerse myself in it, and I felt LA was a place to do that.
All right, so then you just made the voyage here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're neglecting one part of you, because I know you're a multi-hyphenate, which is the production side. So when it comes to acting versus producing, which do you prefer?
I'll be really honest, I prefer acting. I mean, producing is interesting, and it's a very different approach to the medium, and you learn so much and you experience so much as a producer that you would not learn and not experience as an actor. And I'm grateful for my background in producing, but I started producing to further my acting career, actually.
Right. You produce so you can act.
Exactly.
I get that. Yeah. I write so I can produce.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a means to an end.
Yeah.
So you would definitely prefer to act. And now, what are some of the things that you've learned, though, about producing? Like, what are some valuable things that you've learned about producing that you've been able to apply to, your life as an actress?
Oh, that is a great question. I think the most valuable thing, two valuable things, one more emotional and one more practical. The more emotional one is respecting the collaborative nature of filmmaking and respecting the team. I find that because it's not quite as collaboratively immersive as theater is, whereas in theater, you're working one-on-one with the crew. The crew's available to you a little bit more. You're there for rehearsals. It's a very long process to put on a play. You become more of a cohesive unit with the rest of the team. In film, that's different because a lot of times, unless you're the lead in a feature film, you're only there for maybe 3 to 5 days of filming, and you're often there with different people every day. The crew can change every day. The cast members you're working with may change from day to day. So that bond is not the same as you would experience in theater. So producing gave me the lesson of, even though you don't have that bond being created for you by the nature of the way the production is set up, it's so important to make friends with everybody on the set. Get to know everybody, whether that's the grip or the boom operator or the hair and makeup crew or wardrobe. Treat it still like it's a collaboration, and you'll make the best friends you've ever made in life and in business.
Yeah.
That's a big takeaway. The more technical takeaway, as a producer, because you have to work with the director and the director of photography, understand the storyboards, understand cinematography, you really get to learn about shots and angles. And you get to see, as an actor, how different camera angles and different shots impact the actor's performance. So it was a great lesson in, for example, when I'm on set and they have me standing there and they're setting up the shot, I always ask either the DP or the camera op, like, what lens are you using and what's my framing? Because if they tell me the lens they're using, that's going to dictate how far or close the shot is for me, and then they'll give me my framing, and that will indicate for me how much of my body I can use in the shot. A lot of actors, especially new actors, don't think to ask that question, but it will save you on set, especially if it's a very emotional scene. There's no point in digging so deep as to generate real tears. If you're in a wide shot, a medium shot, camera's not going to pick that up.
No.
Save that emotion for your close-up when the camera will pick it up, and you'll be able to share that with, everybody who's watching the film.
That was a great tidbit of advice, girl. You might have some teaching in your future.
great. We'll see.
No, I mean, you graduated from DePaul, which is like the Ivy League of theater, so that's awesome. And now, so we've gotten a little bit into your production background and, your theater background. What is one of your favorite projects that you've done as an actress?
My favorite project that I've done as an actress is in post-production right now. It's a movie called Above All Else. And it's a very interesting story. It's a story about a woman who is dying from cancer. That's the character I play. And her husband, she knows it's terminal, and she's come to terms with this. But her husband has decided that he wanted to do some internet research and finds an organization that's out in New Mexico that does some type of alternative treatments. And they're actually kind of a cult. And what they're doing is they're stealing money from these cancer patients by asking them to have their loved one join the cult when they pass on and sign over all of their assets and belongings and their will to the cult in exchange for letting their loved one stay there and have a community of support when they're dealing with the grief after the loss. So it's a very, the movie is all about the struggle between my character, the cancer patient, that doesn't agree with this and doesn't want to go through with this, and her husband, who is already dealing with the grief of losing his wife even while she's still alive, which is very common for people who are suffering from terminal illness, for their spouses to deal with that conflict. And it's how the two of them come to terms with her death, losing each other, and how you move on in life after death. So it's a very, very deep story.
That is. I'm just like, what? I'm like, I'm trying to, so, I mean, if I can, I don't know how much of the movie you can talk about.
I can talk about it fully.
Oh, okay, great. One part of this that I'm hearing you describe that's very interesting to me is the cult aspect. Like, so what is the genre of this? Is it a drama? Is it, because the cult aspect of it makes it sound kind of like a thriller almost.
It doesn't quite go into thriller. It's definitely a drama. It's more about the relationship between the husband and wife and their struggle with this decision of whether or not to involve themselves with this group.
So it's more like a drama.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the husband's motivation for wanting her to go there, meaning that they're going to take all of your assets?
Well, he doesn't know that part of it. He doesn't know that he thinks they're going to be able to save her life. So that's how they're hooking.
And then you do the wife does the research, and it's like, actually...
Well, then the cult leader tells the wife that this is the deal in order to get her on board with it, to help her husband deal with the loneliness he'll experience after her death. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And when I was auditioning for the role, it has a very interesting story. I had a personal connection with it. My dad died of cancer when I was a little girl, and my mom was out visiting from Chicago while I was going through the audition process, and I was telling her a little bit about the story, and she said, that happened with your dad when he was sick. And I said, really? And she said that there had been some group that was doing some sort of therapy where you could eat ground up peach pits, but you had to go to Mexico and all this stuff, some journey to Mexico to meet with them and be assessed as to whether or not you're a good match. And my mom and dad had that same conversation. Do we go and do this, or do we stay here and just continue with traditional treatment and see what happens? And his diagnosis was terminal right out the gate. He was stage 4 by the time he was diagnosed. And what they eventually decided was not to go to Mexico and pursue this because he didn't know if it would work. And he said, I'd like my last 3 months to be with my family and my children and enjoying life to the biggest extent possible, not flying to some other country and taking a risk on something that truly may or may not happen. So when she told me that story, I immediately found a personal connection to the character. And they did ask me, the director asked in the audition if there was anything that spoke to me about the script. And I said, yeah, of course, and told them that story. So it was nice to have a tie-in. And I think that's why I enjoyed the project so much.
That's the craziest tie-in. I mean, it seems like your life is full of full circle moments. Because that, again, is kind of a full circle moment.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you got the role.
Thank you.
I'm glad that worked out for you. Now, I would like to ask if you can speak about what you have that's coming up next.
Good segue. So I wrote my first feature film, so I've been a producer as part of a team for many, many years, over 10 years. And We've since, we've produced multiple features, shorts, web series, and we've transitioned away from that, partly due to the pandemic and also for personal reasons. And I never gone it alone. I'd always had a team and a business partner that I worked with, and we would write, everything was collaborative. We'd write the scripts together, we'd cast them, we'd produce them, everything was a team, which is fantastic. But then I had this opportunity and I thought, well, I've got time, I have the resources, I have the knowledge. Why don't I write my own script and produce it by myself with my own team and try producing on my own? So I had joined a writing class. I wrote a feature film. It is, what I can tell you about it at this point is it deals with a woman grieving the loss of her dad, and her dad taught her how to surf, and it's about, how she processes that loss through surfing. So it's I surf, so
that's what I was going to ask.
Yes.
I feel like I've seen on your social media you with the surfboard. So
yes.
Was that picture, is that like a promo for your film, or
That
is it just a picture of you surfing?
It was just a picture of me, and now it's become a promo for the film. So so I'll be I'm in the fundraising stage for that right now, so if that's something that interests anybody, let me know. And I'm hoping to be in production for that by mid-2025, early 2026 at the latest.
Nice. And that is a drama again.
That is a drama, yes.
You lean towards the drama.
I do.
You're like, I am a real
drama.
actress. No comedies over here.
I love to do comedy. I'm actually working with my coach to stretch myself to bridge into that a little bit more.
I would think of it because you have such a bright and airy personality that maybe you would want to do.
I'd love to. It would be fun. It'd be a lot of fun. I just don't end up really getting cast that way.
You're like, I'm just deep.
I'm deep. I'm very deep.
I'm just deep.
I like to dig into the soul.
that part. Well, let me ask you this, because I always like to ask people like a more cerebral question, as far as just like their dream collaborations. Like,
Ooh.
Who would you love to collaborate with? I would guess Meryl Streep, but no?
Meryl Streep, yes, but it's more directors. I'm dream directors. So Quentin Tarantino, if you're watching this,
he's watching.
I really want to work with you. There's Quentin Tarantino, Darren Aronofsky, and Baz Luhrmann are the three directors.
Oh my God, those are two.
Oh, and Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig as well. So.
And she's the moment.
She is the moment. She's amazing.
She is definitely amazing. We've gotten that before here, Greta Gerwig.
Absolutely.
It's so funny you're a Tarantino fan. I'm going to Cinevita tonight. Have you seen it?
I have, yes.
Was it good?
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm going tonight with a friend.
Oh, have fun. You'll have an amazing time.
I know. So you're a big fan.
Huge fan, yeah.
And have you been to his theater?
I have.
In Beverly, okay.
Yes.
Haven't ran into him yet.
No, I haven't ran into him yet. I look forward to that moment, though.
I'm sure that you will, and I mean, if you keep on this trajectory, I'm sure that it'll happen for you.
Thank
collaboration, for
Thank
sure.
you.
Well, let us know where we can find you.
Excellent. You can find me on Instagram at Carolyn, CAROLYN _Carpenter, CARPENTER. I'm also on IMDb, and my website is carolyncarpenter.com.
That's awesome. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us today. It's been a pleasure. We wish you the best in all of your endeavors, and keep me posted about your surfer film.
Absolutely.
I would love to, once the screens, come and check it out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Nina. Thank you all.
Thank you all out there for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.